We are here with the Croydon Commission Fathers podcast about becoming a father. My name is Jamal, father of 7, handing over to the bros.
My name is Elliot, I'm a father of 3.
My name is Michael and I'm a father of 2.
So here we are, guys, becoming a father. It's an interesting journey. What memories do you guys have? In fact, keyword check-in from early fatherhood. One word to summarize your early, even your learning about father, you was going to become a dad. What was your kind of one word that kind of summarizes how you felt when you found out?
Wow. Because it wasn't me that we thought would... Obviously, I can't be pregnant, but it wasn't us. It wasn't us.
It wasn't me.
It wasn't us that we thought was pregnant. And then, she did a test just because she went with someone, and it would turn out it was her that was pregnant. And it was like, oh.
Well, it's like a rewind.
She went to the clinic.
Yeah. With someone
else who they thought they were pregnant. And she was just there and just did a test anyway.
Viral pregnancy.
They weren't pregnant. She was. She's like, Elliot, I'm pregnant. Huh? I was playing computer. This was 06. Wow. It was just wow. I didn't expect it. Obviously, you're doing what you're doing, but I didn't expect it. So those are my early memories. Yeah, it was a good time. It was a good place to be in, a good space, definitely.
Yeah, for me, it was just excitement. I know you said 1, but I say 2. Excitement and a bit of fear. So baby was planned, we got together, my wife had all of the notes down of when she was ovulating and everything, so everything was like timely and put in place. And then when we found out, I was really excited. But then almost like once the excitement had finished, there was just this fear that just crept in, thinking about the responsibility. How am I going to be as a father? Just the dynamic of my relationship changing, all of that stuff just started to... It was like an avalanche.
What did you think about the dynamic of your relationship? What were your thoughts at that time?
I just thought, how are we going to make this work? We'd only been married for a few months. So we didn't really have, time to enjoy marriage, really. Well, we were enjoying, but you know what I mean? We didn't really have the time to really enjoy our marriage. So got married in May. By the end of August, my wife was pregnant.
You didn't waste no time, man.
We're enjoying it. We're enjoying it.
So it was just an avalanche of multiple different feelings and emotions. I think, the main one was excitement, especially because like we said, it was planned. Do you know what I mean? We kind of went through a process. But I was fearful. I was just worried about, the dynamic of the relationship. We're going to have this baby in between us. What does it look like? So that was it for me, really.
Did the security of marriage have any effect or additional support, or was it more pressure? Because some people, I wasn't married when I had my first. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if you was else. Did it change how you felt about the situation? Did it give you extra comfort knowing that, okay, we've kind of done this the quote unquote right way, even though there's no right way, but you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think there was a bit of comfort there, and just knowing that we were committed to each other and committed to having a baby. Like I said, it was planned, and the reason why it was planned was just due to some of my wife's issues. So she has multiple illnesses, and there was a big chance in which we weren't going to be able to have children. So in an ideal world, I probably would have waited maybe a year or 2 just to enjoy it, but we knew that potentially by waiting a year or 2 we may not be able to conceive, or it would really lessen the chance of that happening. So we said, you know what, straight out of the gate, let's do it. And, thankfully, we've got two beautiful children now. So
what about yourself?
Pride, probably. Pride. And because I guess a bit personal, but prior to us when we had my first son, we had an abortion. So, and I wasn't ready. Hence why it kind of led to it, and I didn't have an answer. I didn't have we're gonna do it or no. I was just stuck and lost. A lot was going on in my life at that time. I was probably about 16, maybe 17, 18 maybe, the first time. So all of that so when I got a second chance, I was like, cool, great, we're at the gate, we're gonna do this, we're gonna, yay. And so a certain sense of even accomplishment and of the second chance. Do you know what I mean? All right, I fumbled at the finish line last time.
Redemption.
But yeah. And so it was kind of it gave me a sense of purpose with the mission. Like, okay, I felt like Tom Hanks or Bruce Willis or one of them, man, and I've got to get it to the 13th floor. Like, I was ready to go. So yeah,
I can resonate with the feeling of purpose, because when I had my first son, life was okay, but you know, sometimes as a young man, you don't know what you're really doing. You're just going along with life. And then when he came, it was like, I've got a reason now. I've got a direction. I've got more reasons to wake up in the morning to do X, Y, Z. That gave me the purpose. So when you said purpose, yeah, that definitely struck a chord.
Prior to fatherhood, I think I was trying to be all my friends' dads.
I hear you.
Unsolicited. They never asked for it, but you just take a certain role and come on guys, we can do it or whatever. And having children was like, oh, this is where all that misspent energy went, and this is now the focus. Do you know what I mean? So yeah. What was your response? Like when you got the message?
I was literally playing Pro Evolution Soccer.
Was you winning?
I was winning. I got the call. She said what she said. Came off the phone. I continued playing my game. The game finished. Then I sat back and I was just like, rah, wow. Is that what she said? And then I remember that I was scared to tell my mum. I told my mum, and she just had a bit of a weary smile on her face, like, okay, you know what this means now? And I'm like, yeah.
Bro.
And then I was just like, wow. Yeah, it didn't sink in for a while, but eventually water levels out and you start to get a bit more grounded, and it's like, okay, as excited as you still are. But yeah, that was my immediate response.
Was that a shock?
Yeah, it was a shock because it just came out of the blue. I didn't even know she had gone there to do that.
You hadn't missed the cycle, nothing. Yeah. Nothing he was aware of.
And we weren't in the best space. So it was just like one day, yeah, Elliot, pregnant. Huh? Okay, right. Let me score a couple more goals and finish off the game and figure it out. But yeah, that was my immediate response.
I think there was an increased sense of urgency. The time that I felt I had prior was no longer my attack. Like, go. And I kind of already had an idea that I might not guarantee to pass 21. Not because of any specific reason, maybe just young, black man, the world, the way it is, whatever. But so it kind of, I was already going, and then this happened now, and it's like, all right, beep, beep.
Yeah.
Let's go. You know?
How for both of you, how different has it been? Obviously, we're fathers to more than one child. So second time round, third time round, how does it compare to the first time round? As in finding out the news and the processes that you went through?
I would say it's just, okay, for me it was just like, all right, we've got another one on the way. I think the first one, a lot of the time you just don't know what you're doing. So it's like overtime, and you're doing all the extras, buying 100 bits of clothing and all the stuff you don't even really need, really. But this time round it was like, all right, cool, we've been through it before. The difference in age with our two kids is 4 years as well, so we had a little bit of time, and it was just like, all right, cool, we've got another one on the way. We kind of know what to expect, and let's just kind of go through the process. And then obviously if there's anything else, any bumps down the road, which 9 times out of 10 do happen, we'll somewhat know how to deal with them better. And then just the family support has been great as well. So having more of a team around us as well, because our first baby, we had her during lockdown. Lockdown baby, man, June 2020. So it was just me and the missus, which was great because we spent the whole year together. But in terms of that family support, it wasn't as much as it was with our second one. It was just like, all right, cool, another one on the way. We kind of know how to deal with it, and we'll just see where it takes us.
What about the negatives? What have been some of the negatives along the journey?
On the last question, for example, as you said, different children and your different responses. Like a positive was early. My first son, I always knew I was going to have a son. I knew what his name was going to be, them kind of things. I only ever planned to have one son, but he was so easy. The next one came, come. Not necessarily having all my kids in the same house. That can be problematic. Not being as able to live in my truth in the same way, to express certain things, secret lies, whatever, coming out and having a negative effect on the children. And then getting further down the line and it going from kind of being yay to it kind of being a burden, but not always being able to say. And because I've been so positive in the past and people have seen, so kind of then you start masking or you're not saying anything or you start to go into yourself and those kind of things, and then it having an effect on the relationship with the child as you go on. Do you know what I mean? I have a good relationship with all my kids. I would like to have a better relationship with all my kids, and we're always working on these things. But you can see how from intent or from how it's set out, how it's had an effect as you've gone on.
Yeah, I would say for me it was just the lack of support for me as a father. That was one
Where
of the
did you
big
go
negatives.
for support? Did you go anywhere for support?
Well, to be fair, I just couldn't find any kind of ways or streams of support. So I knew there were things for parents, but that really meant mothers. So there wasn't really any fathers groups or dads groups around to show me some support. And even with, you know, with the midwives, I understand that the primary, you know, focus is on the mother, but I would even ask questions on, you know, how do I get support? And there was no real kind of pathway for that. The focus was just on making sure, you know, my wife was good and everything was okay with the pregnancy. Even it was funny when we had our midwife, one of our midwife meetings, and like they asked questions. One of the questions was brought up on domestic violence, right? So she goes, so is there any domestic violence in the home? My wife goes, no. And I goes, what about me? And she just skipped over me and was like, it's not about you. Do you know what I mean? So obviously I said it as a joke, but it kind of allowed me to realize that, yeah, there's actually not much support for me. It's just mainly on the mother, which, you know, in some regard I understand, but it's two of us that have decided to have a child. So,
and if there was ever a time for there to be, say for example, your wife is absolutely loveliest person, yeah? But during pregnancy, hormones can do a madness, do you know what I mean? And there's not much education for us to know and whatever, unless if you haven't got men or uncles or dads or people that have been through it, you don't know much. So your wife could be going through a madness and treating you completely away, but she's never been that way.
Absolutely.
And then you're saying, what about me? Because it might not be normal. It could just be something for you to get a bit of education on or some support. Oh, actually, she's going through this. It might not be, we're going to get the police in and whatever, but it could just be education and it could circumnavigate that.
Yeah.
But no, you don't get any support. What they don't understand is by supporting dad, you're helping to support mum. You've got the professionals get an extra hand in support and the best hand in support because dad's got an invested interest.
Absolutely.
But we miss that whole resource of using dad in that sense, you know?
Yeah, it's damaging. It's damaging. It sounded a bit mad though. She just asked you, "Is there any DV?" Just outright. And what did they expect you to say? Yes.
Yeah,
or
so,
no?
So like
both of you.
And I think obviously it's protocol, isn't it? So you got to ask these questions.
Yeah.
So I totally understand that. And obviously my wife said no, but you know, I just said as a joke, you know, what about if it's been kind of happening to me? And it wasn't like the response wasn't even like ha ha ha. It was
just
yeah, it's not about
deadpan.
you. Do you know what I mean? So and that allowed me to realize, yeah, there's actually not that much support for fathers, or maybe I just didn't know where to access it. But everywhere, but I think everywhere I looked, I just couldn't see anything really, if I'm being honest.
No, you're not mad. There's not a lot of support for dads. There's a little bit, but there isn't a lot.
Where can dads go if they want support, as we know at this place?
We know there's charities out there. You can use the children's centres. I recommend that, and those were helpful for me. I'm a curious person, so I would go into those places. I did a few, with my first son. I did a few classes and whatnot, just to equip me. Me and the mother at the time, we did those things, and they were a valuable source of support. But a lot of the things have been cut. A lot of services, universal services, have been cut across all boroughs, not just Croydon. Had family around. That was an invaluable source of support on both sides of the family. I'm lucky enough that most of my family live quite locally on both sides. The internet as well, but it can be a minefield. You don't know what's true and what's not. You don't know what to believe and what kind of, what's the word? You just don't know what to believe at times. You don't know if it's coming from official places, and the way things change so quickly, the dynamics. 1 minute it's breast is best, the next minute it's fed is best. So sometimes you don't know, and this is your child. So you don't want to take certain risks, and you don't want to be left feeling uncertain about certain things. But go on.
I think where I wasn't a baby, but I was 20. I was headstrong. I'd spent the last 15 years being told what to do. I didn't want to be told anything. I think a lot of it, from family, friends, professionals, even the kid's mum. I mean, I was just on my own mission, like, Mufasa! Yeah. And I think as a young person, oftentimes, like the resources there, but we're just trying to do our own thing. Do you know what I mean? And how do we get those resources to those people that need it? I think that is some of the question. Do you know what I mean? Because
It's-
it could be
it's-
under our nose. We walk past it every day, but if we're not curious like
Yeah.
you was, we're gonna overlook and then take on extra burden.
Yeah, and men, we don't typically ask for help. So if we're not asking for help, we're not looking for help. And that's not to say all men at every time, but generally there is that idea in your mind that even when you're asking for help, you're still battling against yourself sometimes.
True.
So if you're not asking, people don't know that the help is needed as much as they know. They don't know. So then there's no help provided. So then you just...
When I told my mum, you're gonna be a grandma, she pulled down the glasses, looked at me, said, congratulations. So from then, I know, say, okay, I'm a quite independent person anyway, but cool, you're on my back. We're going to go that. So if you're going to get me and my mum, it's just been me and my mum. So if that's the case there, who am I going else to? Do you know what I mean? And I think a lot of young people are in that bubble, and then it creates more and more problems because you don't know how to look for help.
What was it like when baby first arrived? So you've gone through pregnancy, and then the whole whirlwind of that, and then the labour, and that, depending on what your labour experience was, can be swift, it can be traumatic, it can be a lot of things. And then baby's here, and then it just shifts into, okay, baby's here. How do you, like, things change so quickly?
I'd say for myself, it was crazy. There was so much that went on with the birth, and it's still actually being looked into now. So this is 4 years on from my daughter being born. So it was very traumatic for myself and my wife. But she ended up having a C-section, and yeah, it went well in the end, I would say. So yeah, it was an amazing feeling seeing my baby.
We're here at the Croydon Commission Fathers Podcast, Becoming a Father. We've had a good session today. Thank you guys for sharing your thoughts, experiences. Big up to you and your families. Any final thoughts you guys want to share before we go?
Don't be a... No, I'm joking.
I said, don't be a deadbeat dad. Yeah?
No, we're just sharing so that we hope that you listening to some of the things that we're saying can impact you in a positive way. You can get something from this. So if that happens, I've done my job.